Hey Shannon, thanks for joining today.
Hey, Alyssa, it's great to be here.
Really appreciate you taking the time.
I'm always happy to. Yeah, you guys are great.
Awesome. So to dive right into it, I would love it if you could introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your company and your role.
Yeah, my name's Shannon Williams. I'm the president here at Acorn Labs. And Acorn Labs is a software company. We build software for helping people develop applications. And we've been at it for a couple years now. And as part of my role, I run the sales and marketing organizations here at Acorn.
Thank you for that. So what challenges were you facing that prompted you to contact Coinbound as an agency?
Yeah, I mean, we were really, kind of exploring a number of new products and projects. And one of the things we found was that, as we would develop the products and push them out to the market, we would see a big surge of excitement and interest as they first came out. And then almost inevitably over time, the projects would begin to, they'd begin to kind of grow at a pretty predictable rate. And so we were looking for ways to kind of broaden awareness faster and get more eyeballs on interesting new software that we were writing. And, we thought that working, with influencers might give us a path to markets that would otherwise maybe not be hearing about us. A lot of times, our announcements would get covered by the sort of tech media and would get covered by analysts and the like, but, we wanted to touch directly a very broad cut of developers. And that's where influencers really seem like a great way. There's so many great people on YouTube talking about software development, talking about building applications. And the kind of stuff we were working on was pretty fundamental stuff. So getting to those fundamental sort of early career users who are learning technology was really appealing.
I love that. Thank you. What would you say were the factors that played a role in you choosing Coinbound over maybe some other agencies that you guys were looking into?
Well, we're an enterprise software company, so we typically would be working with a lot of organizations that come out of a background of, enterprise engagement and working, you think of your Gartners and, your big media companies and like. And we just had a feeling that their knowledge in this area wasn't really strong. It wasn't, when we talked to them about it, our PR agencies and the like, their experience was like, oh, we know these podcasters, or we know people who have who've done some, social type media, but it really wasn't down at the level of, no, there are hundreds, thousands of people creating interesting content on social platforms. We want to get to a much broader cut. And so as we researched, I think finding Coinbound as an agency that had more of a Web3 background was really lucky for us, because it allowed us to kind of engage with people who had already lived in a world that was heavily influenced by social media and influencers. And so, when we would kind of explain our problems and our challenges, they were really very easy for them to understand. They were the same challenges that their customers, coming out of the crypto world understood, and their customers coming out of Web3 understood. So it wasn't really like we were hitting different challenges. It was just coming from a new industry. And I think they picked that up really quickly and were able to help us figure out how to leverage these new, routes to market, these new marketing vehicles, in ways that we weren't familiar with and weren't really ready to engage with. I mean, how do you decide what to pay someone for a YouTube video? It's a really good question, right? Is it based on the number of people that are following them? Maybe, but not always, because some people have pretty inflated numbers. I mean, there's just so much that goes into it. And obviously that's where the team at Coinbound really helped us quickly come up to speed.
Thank you for that. I love that answer. And I think we're just as lucky that you guys found us. So how would you describe your experience working with us so far?
It's been great. I mean, it has been exactly what we hoped for. Where Coinbound has shown is, they took the time to understand us. They dove in, they understood our products, what we were trying to look for. And then, they excel in research. I think the work that Coinbound did to begin to look at a huge number of potential influencers and start to cull that down, find the ones who had real audiences, who were writing about topics that were similar to ours, who, would be impactful when they wrote content for us, was really, or created content, most of it was video, was really excellent. So, that process of culling a huge universe down to the most impactful people, and then even in there, looking at value, saying, okay, well, look, we've got this person, they've got this reach, they're asking for X, and here's another person that's got this reach, they're asking for Y. We really think, even though X maybe has a lot more numbers, like maybe they show more followers, when you actually look at the comments and you look, like, the time it takes to go and do that level of research is what separates a company like Coinbound, who has been doing this for a while and knows to do that, from, I think, a lot of the, I don't want to call them hacks, but the people who are kind of jumping into this at the last minute saying, oh, influencer is really important. And they're kind of looking at it from really pure metrics. They're doing really simple searches. They're using standard databases. That wasn't my experience at all. I mean, my experience with Coinbound was this stuff takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. Every relationship takes a little bit of time to build. Some partners that you might want to work with already have relationships with other people. And so kind of sussing out who are the right people, what are the right stories to tell with them, where, what does it look like to convince them that they should partner with you and convince you that you should partner with them. Coinbound worked as a really good intermediary. I felt like at every time that they weren't just our agent, they were in many ways also, helping the influencer understand. Sometimes some of the influencers that we really had excellent experience with hadn't done a lot of influencing, right? They're tech bloggers, they're tech writers. They're not, social media fashion people, right? They needed to be kind of shown what exists. Other people were more far along. They're like, no, we know exactly how to do this. We've got our own rates. We have our own process. We know what it looks like. But it wasn't all the same. And so we found that by, taking a very personal, detailed, hands-on approach, they were able to understand our use case, the right influencers for us, and produce some great content that drove enormous traffic, really, at the end of the day, what we wanted, right? It drove leads, it drove people to our website, it created signups, it created downloads, huge bursts, dramatically more than anything we were able to accomplish using traditional means of reach out.
I'm really glad to hear that you felt that your experience was really tailored to you guys and that you have been able to get the desired results so far.
Absolutely. I mean, Alyssa, the team has done a great job, really. The research that the team does, every week we have our meeting, and it's great to see the new, the new influencers they've identified and building strategies to kind of go back to people that had good results. When I entered this, I kind of went and said, oh, let's put a little bit of money into this and see how it goes. 6 months later, I'm looking at it saying this is one of the most valuable things in my marketing portfolio.
I love to hear that. That's really exciting. How would you say you would describe the onboarding process with us?
Yeah, I mean, it was really, I always call it casual, but it was very casual. It was like we sat down, we had conversations. What was great was that, we worked directly with our account manager and the researcher at all times. So it was always like there was kind of a marketing person and there was a day in and day out researcher and communicator with the influencers. And the combination was really good because I think the marketer brought a lot of insights about return and value, whether this is a good use of money, whether it's not a good use of that they gathered from working across lots of different projects. Yep. And the researcher really got to know our product in a lot of detail, kind of understood our positioning, maybe, at a level of depth that I was really impressed with. And so the onboarding process was, understand us and then listen, right? Every week we would have these calls saying like, okay, here's some of the people we think look good. And we'd go through it. And when we said like, oh, this person, if you look at their content, it's kind of, it's more about how to be a developer than really teaching developers and it's more so then all of a sudden there was a learning process that then those people stopped showing up and we started seeing more people that kind of fit what we felt was the right fit for us. And so I would say the onboarding process was great. I mean, we saw, it took us a good, it's really kind of 0 to 60 takes about 2 months from the time we started working till the first videos start hitting and you start seeing the impact. but most of that's not really in the finding them. It's really mostly in kind of getting on the calendars, working with them to create the content. I would say within probably 2 to 3 weeks, we were meeting with influencers who we were excited to be meeting with, and looking at proposals and making basically influence buys.
Absolutely. So do you feel we were able to, successfully continuously optimize the campaign throughout to really like tailor the results to you?
Yeah, I mean, we gave you a budget. We sort of said, hey, here's how much we want to spend monthly. And, you guys looked at that budget, found people that fit in it, kind of looked for, almost like filling up a jar, right? Like, what's the, we can use 30% of our budget on this one person, and then, 40% on this other person, and then maybe kind of 5% on each of these people that might have broader reach. And maybe some of them will be bigger impact. And it did turn out sometimes that the ratio from dollars to impact wasn't nearly as clearly defined as you might expect going in. That, somebody who's charging $10,000 for a video is probably going to do twice as much as somebody charging $5,000 for a video. Not at all, right? You have to learn that. But what's so great is by learning that, it's almost like you try something, you learn from it, you then put it into the kind of evaluation phase where you give something enough time to see, all right, what's the initial impact of this? What's the long tail on this? And then you assess it and move forward. So I think it was really good.
Perfect. So on that same note, what results have you been able to achieve while working with our team?
I mean, what we saw was consistently the lowest cost per registrant for our SaaS service of any channel we were looking at. In some cases 20, 30, 40% less cost to acquire by working in influencers, which is significant. I mean, we were very impressed as well with the long-term impact of the influencer program, that these videos, the how-to videos, especially these trainings that people were writing for us, they were there picking up SEO type of traffic for months. So, much in the same way that building a bigger and bigger blog or building a bigger tutorial website section or, kind of building more SEO centric content, the influencer content worked the same way, is that all of a sudden more and more searches that were, related to us were showing up in YouTube when you search broader terms. So building that credibility, I think, is it's an investment. It takes time, but it's certainly for companies that are like us, still 20, 30 people early on in our life cycle, trying to raise awareness. It was really a great way to drive that awareness, drive more traffic, drive more leads and, registrants, and then see that those registrants were quite reasonably cost compared to other models.
Awesome. Have you worked with other agencies, throughout the process? And if so, how would you compare your experience with our agency?
Well, we worked with lots of agencies over the years. I've worked with many agencies in different capacities. And I think one of the things that stands out about working with Coinbound is just clarity. Coinbound's very easy to work with because the clarity of the relationship is really good. They're not a 10, 20, 30 type of things that they're trying to sell you at every given point. It's like Coinbound is our influencer agency. And I know you guys do more than that, but being our influencer agency allowed me to sort of say, like, everything related to this, the relationship went through there. And I found that to be really good. And I felt that you guys wanted that. Like, it was sometimes you feel like every time you engage a new agency, the agency wants to try and sort of take over more and more and more of your marketing functions and spend and activities. And I felt like you guys actually were, really excited to be doing this work, that this was what you wanted to be doing, and it aligned with what we wanted. And that combination made for a really great partnership. And so I was really happy with you guys as an agency, happy with the results, happy with the professionalism, happy with the consistent sort of delivery of exactly what was expected, and clarity. Again, when you're mostly, I like transparency. If it's hard to find something, that there was times where it was like, hey, we're really struggling to find this thing you asked for. It's not clear that person exists, or that if they do, they're not really engaged in they're not responding, they're not interested. that clarity is great, because then you're like, okay, we tried something, it maybe didn't work, now let's try something else. So there wasn't like the constant, sometimes you get a lot of opaqueness when you're working with an agency. You're talking to one person and there's like 3 or 4 people behind the scenes. With you guys, everyone's on the call, everyone who's working on it was there was good discussion, good brainstorming. And we had a Slack channel, so communication was really clean all the time, even when we weren't on meetings. Like, hey, this meeting's set up, can you guys make it? Oh, we need to reschedule that. Everything went really smoothly.
I'm glad to hear that. My next question was going to be, did you think that there was enough transparency within the relationship? So I think that adequately answers that for me within there.
Yeah, I think you guys do a great job of transparency. Everything was, financially, everything was really clear too. It was a really clear model. So I was like, okay, this is what, we knew what we were getting into. It was exactly as expected. What kind of budget do we have left every month? How can we spend it for the most impact? Those are the kind of things you want to be able to talk about with your agency, and feel like everyone's on the same page. And we certainly did.
I love that. What would you say you've appreciated the most about working with our team?
Just the depth of knowledge in an area that we didn't have knowledge. I mean, quite honestly, a lot of people talk about things like influencer marketing. There's a lot of tools out there. We needed help. It was not an area that conceptually, sure, we all understand it. Conceptually, we're seeing it every day on, our different social channels, but actually, how the sausage gets made, how to find the right people, how to communicate with them, how to deal with their agents, how to sort of tell them when their rates don't make any sense. And there's a lot that we, I think really would have struggled trying to do this ourselves, or, the agencies we worked with in the past would have not been able to certainly easily navigate. And so that's the kind of stuff that was great about working with somebody who had so much depth of knowledge in influencer marketing for businesses, for tech companies.
Correct. So given all that we've discussed so far, would you recommend our agency to colleagues? And if so, why?
I already have. I already do. I mean, that. I already tell people, like, I've sent you multiple people, because I think this is I think if you're a marketing executive worth your salt, if you haven't found someone who can help you navigate this world, you are absolutely, you're playing by the last century's game. You've got to be thinking about how, the early stages of the buying process are influenced by social content. And, you've got to build, in my opinion, if you don't have a network of people out there that that you're connected to, who are excited about your new products and can help you spread the word, it's like running around without a PR strategy. It's really not how you should be doing marketing. So yes, 100%, not only the concept of it, but the execution. I recommend you guys all the time.
I love that. Thank you, Shannon. So I think that pretty much wraps up all of the questions that I have, but do you have any comments to add?
No, just thank you guys for doing an amazing job. And we really have been lucky to found you.
I appreciate that. I think we're just as lucky to continue to work with you guys. Thank you for your time today, Shannon. I will let you go now, but this was definitely really appreciated. And yeah.
Anytime, Alyssa. Happy to help. You guys do great work for us.